everyone, I hope you're well. So we are more than halfway through July and it is a watercolor month. I have been busy making and selling my handmade watercolors, but I haven't been able to create much. So I'm so happy that I have finished all those projects that I was working on, and I can now for the rest of the month just enjoy watercolor for what it is, you know, painting with it, and also looking at different botanical parts of the flowers and plants, etc. Today I want to explore painting green leaves again, but this time we're going to, instead of finding convenience colors and use them as they are, we are going to try mixing our own greens, which I think is a great exercise. And for the watercolors today, I will use my Sennelier Botanical watercolor set. If you watched my studio watercolor tour, you will remember that I pulled out this set from my watercolor palettes drawer, and I felt like I wanted to explore it a little bit more. I always say that Sennelier have not been my favorite watercolors to work with, purely based on the experience I get from painting with them. So in this set, as it is a botanical set, it's Showell Botanical watercolor set, and there are beautiful 3 yellows and 3 blues, so you could get a lovely variety of greens. And as you can see, you will have to mix your own greens here, which is what botanical artists do. You would assume to have green colors, but there is no point, because then you can double it up and use the yellows to mix with the reds as well as purple. And then there is one purple which is super intense, and it's more intense than the purples you could mix yourself by mixing the blues with the reds. There's also one orange which you could mix by mixing reds and yellows, but this is again very similar to the purple. It's very kind of intense orange to go, ready to go. So these are the colors. There are 2 extra colors which I bought that were from Billy Showell palette, that she I took her classes a while ago, and she had a few more colors, and these are the quinacridone red and also blue violet. So they don't come with this palette, but they were on her ceramic palette when she was doing the classes. So that's the palette. And then for my book, I am using the Stillman and Birn Beta Series hardcover. This is my kind of botanical drawings and illustrations dedicated sketchbook. For flower or plant, I picked Geranium today, and mine is sort of finishing almost, but you can see it's a beautiful glowing orange color. And I want to focus today on the leaves. They are really lovely texture, they are not flat, they have beautiful veining, and this particular leaf, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, has like a darker skirting area. Maybe you can see it better on this leaf here. So I'll try to achieve that today by mixing my greens. Let's start. The beauty about wire-bound sketchbook is that you can just flip the pages and give yourself a nice small space to work in, which I love. So for my brush, I decided to use the Princeton Neptune Round 4. It's a really lovely and soft brush. And let's start the exercise by just mixing some of the greens. I'm going to use my mixing dish, and they are hand painted by me, so they're made out of air dry clay, so they're lighter than your usual ceramic. And basically they're waterproof because I varnished them. So I'm going to use that to mix. Oh yeah, and if you're interested, they're available on their own, or there are also a few sets available with the brush rest as well to match the dish. So I'm just going to get the blues out and the yellows and just attempt mixing with them. Here on the side I'll squeeze out the colors. So we have lemon yellow, we have Sennelier yellow deep. So the lemon yellow is PY3 and the Sennelier yellow deep is PY153 and PY83. And then we have quinacridone gold, which is PR101, PY150 and PR206. Alright, as for the blues, we have the French ultramarine blue, which is PB29 and PV15. This is going to have that kind of brightness undertone. And then we have cobalt blue, PB28. So this is a granulating generally color, and ultramarines have a variety to them. Some of them are more granulating and some of them are less. Okay, and this one is phthalocyanine blue and it's PB15:3. So this will give you these super bright colors, and it's also a very staining color, which I try to avoid using. But actually for the staining color I think I will use a ceramic palette. So for the staining blue I decided to use a separate dish, which I don't mind getting stained. The only thing to say about these dishes is be careful with staining, like super staining colors, because they can stain. The only thing that doesn't seem to stain are the ceramic palettes. But otherwise you would stain plastic palettes, you'd stain metal palettes like any other. Let's start by just mixing a touch of lemon yellow with I'd say cobalt blue, and that's way too green for me, so I would go ahead and add a touch of the quinacridone gold, and this is a lovely green now. Actually this is a green that we would need for these leaves here. It's a very close match. So to remember what I did there, I'm just going to go ahead and take a little bit of this lemon yellow, a little bit of the cobalt blue, and then to neutralize it, make it look more pretty or more kind of olivey, I used the quinacridone gold there. Okay, let's see what other colors we could do. There's lovely separation happening now. Don't know if you can see that in the dish. So if I just use a bit more water, hopefully we'll be able to see that. Yes, there's something happening there. Okay, now let's try a bit of the ultramarine blue. With actually, let's neutralize it a little bit with alizarin crimson lake. So that would give us kind of like a grayish color, which is good for shadows. So basically to that mix we added ultramarine blue, the French ultramarine rather. And this also will neutralize, so let's try it up here, like so. Alright, so that's that. For the phthalocyanine, I will use a dish that I don't mind getting stained if it does. Now let's add a bit of that middle yellow, Sennelier Yellow Deep, and that actually creates a beautiful forest green, which is also a color you can see in some of the geranium leaves. So for that we mixed a bit of the phthalocyanine blue with Sennelier Yellow Orange. You'd never predicted this would be the outcome, would you, looking at those two colors? And let's also do a nice and diluted swatch. I actually quite like what's happening here. I feel like all those years ago, when I was really in love with Daniel Smith watercolors, I kind of dismissed a lot of other brands. They just didn't do that magic that Daniel Smith did. And for that reason, I never wanted to really push the colors or push the specific watercolors and see what I could get, because I could get it like just ready from the tube, you know, from Daniel Smith. So I never felt the need to mix myself. So in a way, I find that Daniel Smith watercolors kind of make you a lazy watercolorist. I don't want to offend anyone at all, but if I could compare it, it sort of reminds me to those cars that can, you know, automatically park for you. So if I put my car to park for me, and if I did it consistently, I would probably use that feature all the time. So I'm trying not to, because if I then had to do it again myself, I'd probably feel quite inadequate. So, you know, you want to keep on training your brain of doing things manually in a way, so that you don't become completely paralyzed and by the availability of the help, if that makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense to you or not. There's still obviously beautiful watercolors from Daniel Smith that I would enjoy using still now, but I have taken a very conscious break from them, and found it quite refreshing, to be honest with you, to broaden my views with other colors and other brands and, yeah, textures and things like that. Okay, so these are nice. I kind of want to see every blue mixed with quinacridone gold. So here we have got this sort of a green quite earthy. And that was touch of the French ultramarine. Like that. And quinacridone gold. Oh, it's quite pushy, this one. So that's interesting. And then let's try the same with the cobalt blue. I'll just do cobalt blue here somewhere. I can get so carried away mixing these beautiful colors. So that's our cobalt blue. And then we're going to add quinacridone gold and see what we get here. Okay, so back to mixing tray. So we get this green, and it's going to be quite granulating, I have a feeling. Alright, and then finally, let's do this crazy blue. With quinacridone gold. I hope the weather is okay where you are. Wow, look at this. That's beautiful. We had another heat wave, and over the weekend it was the hottest day of the year, which is quite difficult in UK because it tends to be very like sort of humid, or there is no breeze. Like, it's just, the heat is there, it's just in the air, not a single leaf moves in the garden, and you feel like the sun is just going absolutely mad. It's very difficult to stay and to stand in a sunny spot if it's like 30-31 degrees. So yeah, it was very, very hot. So we had kind of a hot weekend. So that's the green that you get. A very, I mean, if you wanted like a juicy green, those are the colors to go to. Okay, I think I had enough of the warm-up kind of mixing session, and I really like the first two that we mixed. I'll give you a little close-up. So here you can see the ultramarine come through, and some beautiful pigment separation happening right here. So that's that. Okay, so now let's focus on the leaves and painting them.